Muyanti Yatsurayaha Tejuvarimridam Vinimayo Yatputri Shargo Mrishadam Nasvena Sada Nirastakuvakam Satyam Param Nimahi. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O my Lord Shri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Om Jnanati Mirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri. And he is an individual, as are the other living beings. But the Supreme Lord, or the Supreme Living Being, has the greatest intelligence, and he possesses supermost inconceivable energies of all different varieties. If a man's brain can produce a space satellite, one can very easily imagine how brains higher than man can produce similar wonderful things which are far superior. A reasonable person will easily accept this argument, but there are stubborn atheists who would never agree. Srila Vyasadeva, however, at once accepts the supreme intelligence as the Param Ishvara. He offers his respectful obeisances unto the supreme intelligence, addressed as the Para or the Parameshvara, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that Parameshvara is Sri Krishna, as admitted in Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures delivered by Sri Vyasadeva, and specifically in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that there is no other Paratattva, Somabonam, than himself. Therefore, Sri Vyasadeva at once worships the Paratattva, Sri Krishna, whose transcendental activities are described in the 10th canto. That was one paragraph, I'll take one more. Unscrupulous persons go immediately to the 10th canto, and especially to the 5 chapters which describe the Lord's rasa dance. This portion of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the most confidential part of this great literature. Unless one is thoroughly accomplished in the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, one is sure to misunderstand the Lord's worshipable transcendental pastimes called rasa dance and his love affairs with the gopis. The subject matter is highly spiritual, and only the liberated persons who have gradually attained to the stage of Paramahansa can transcendentally relish this rasa dance. Srila Vyasadeva therefore gives the reader the chance to gradually develop spiritual realization before actually relishing the essence of the pastimes of the Lord. Therefore, he purposely invokes a Gayatri mantra, Dhimahi. This Gayatri mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people. When one is successful in chanting the Gayatri mantra, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. One must therefore acquire Brahminical qualities or be perfectly situated in the quality of goodness in order to chant the Gayatri mantra successfully. and then attain to the stage of transcendentally realizing the Lord, His name, His fame, His qualities, and so on. So, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport here that this is a gradual process. We are in the we're in the Gaudiya line, and our goal is to attain the Supreme Lord in Golok Vrindavan on Krishna Loga. So other Vaishnavas go for are in the Aishwarya mode. They worship the Lord with awe and reverence. We are so extremely fortunate that we have been accepted into this path of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, which worship Krishna, Nandanandan Krishna, in the very highest mode of worship, freed from awe and reverence completely. But it's a gradual process, and you cannot attain this process immediately. It takes a lot of endeavor. So Prabhupada describes that it's a gradual process. First we have to understand the Aishwarya nature of the Lord, His greatness. And also Srimad Bhagavatam, in this verse, it doesn't start with the very highest understanding of the Supreme Lord. It doesn't describe Krishna as Nandanandan Krishna. It describes His opulences, His unique position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, first of all, we have to understand the Lord's greatness. We cannot understand the intimate nature of the Lord without going through the process of Vaidhi Bhakti, of becoming completely purified in the heart. The spontaneous level of devotional service takes complete purification of the heart. And also, like when new people gets introduced to the process of Krishna consciousness, they have to understand that. They cannot jump. You cannot kind of push it down their throats, the very highest levels of Krishna consciousness. So we have, it's a must. You have to go through that process of explaining the Lord's unique position. So we are infinitesimal parts of the Lord, like small sparks of the fire, are parts of the bigger fire, one in quality but different in quantity. And our natural, deepest inherent nature is to serve the Lord. And in order to serve the Lord, we have to understand His greatness, His nature, to become attracted to Him, because we are conditioned. So we have been attracted to the material energy since time immemorial, being completely contaminated by the desire to enjoy independently of Krishna. So it's very, very deep. So it takes a lot of purification. And in order to get that reinstated in that desire to serve the Lord with one's full heart, we have to understand His greatness first of all. We have to become attracted. So the Supreme Lord is wonderful in all aspects, whether it's the intimate aspects in Krishna Loga or it's the Aishwarya aspect. He is incredibly attractive. We are attracted in generally to greatness in any form. We see it in this world. People are so attracted to anyone who possesses any kind of opulence in terms of money, in terms of beauty, in terms of strength or whatever. People are just naturally attracted. Any great person on a sports field who is able to do wonderful things with a ball or with whatever, or a piece of, things on his hands, and he can do a lot of, knock people down and completely technically wonderful. People are like, wow. And they'll pay a lot of money to go and watch someone in a ring, fight for the world championship in heavyweight or whatever. Pay so much money to do it. And they get so much thrilled by doing it. I remember back in time, I have to admit, my condition nature. There's one big boxing star in Denmark, used to be, he's not so much any longer, called Mikkel Kessler. He was like in the top elite in the world in his particular class, and he was fighting this Welsh Kalsaki, he was called, about the world, the title in the world, Welsh, or becoming the best in the world in that particular weight class, and it was like hyped up like anything. So that time I went with some other friends to a pub in Copenhagen, and we went there. Didn't drink any beer, so but we watched that fight, and everyone was like, "Wow!" We enjoyed everything, and they were completely hyped up. So that's what people do. They get hyped up with whatever attracts them. And he was very attractive. He was so powerful. He was so good technically and very strong also. He could knock out the opponents like anything. So that's an attraction, or a very, very beautiful person, whether male or female. People are attracted. They want to go and see them. It's just a spontaneous attraction. Someone who has a lot of knowledge, we are attracted. That's kind of maybe more the devotees. We are attracted especially by knowledge. So someone who has a lot of knowledge of the Shastra or any other field, people also become attracted to them. A professor in whatever has got intimate knowledge of a particular subject, people will go and listen to him or her or whatever and fill a whole auditorium because that person has so much knowledge of a particular subject. So all these objects are naturally attracting us. We see that in this world. And Krishna possesses all these opulences in full. He's called Bhagavan. So he possesses all the strength, beauty, wealth, knowledge, renunciation, and fame in full. Any famous person, people are also attracted. They want to go and see or hear them. They want to get the autograph. They may line up in long, long queues just to whatever. And it's quite, we saw it extremely in the past. It may still go on, but especially in the past when these big music stars, Beatles or Elvis, they went on the stage, and all the young, especially young girls, they were like completely freaking out. Actually, some of them, they fainted. They were so hyped up. They saw those they had worshipped for a long, long time. They just had all, especially the teenagers, all the rooms were completely plastered with posters of their heroes. In this case, the Beatles, and they would follow every move. They read all the articles, they had all the albums, and they were basically worshipping them. And once they actually saw them, they came. They were all, you saw in these old films, they were like screaming really loud, and some of them passed out. So this is like, this is a worldly person. And what is their opulence? The opulence was they had a good voice, they had the ability to sing attractive songs. That was their opulence, because in any other aspects, most of them were basically very mundane actually. They had no other opulence than that. And then later, of course, because of that fame and that ability to sing nicely, they got a lot of money also, so they got another opulence. So Krishna, he possesses, these are like infinitesimal, small little things, but for us, in our particular condition, it seems like, wow, because we got very little. So someone who possesses these qualities to a considerably greater degree than ourselves, we think, oh, this is something, and we get so attracted. And think of Krishna, he possesses not only one or two of these opulences, he possesses all 6 opulences, and unlimitedly. So how wonderful is Krishna not? And we hear that from the the Leelas of Krishna. Now we're reading in the Krishna book every night, and hearing of his uncommon activities. We heard the other day of his fighting with Jambavan over the Shamantaka jewel, and he went down there into that cave underground, and he fought for 28 days with this like superhuman living creature, Jambavan, who's not like, I don't know, whatever species, but is kind of like a bear-like species. Just imagine any person in this world fighting with a bear. How powerful is a bear? And then and this is not any ordinary bear. Jambavan is incredibly powerful. Killed a lion like anything, no problem. And then 28 days without any rest. No rest, no, just, hey, give me a break. Just need a sip of water, to not dehydrate. No, 28 days full on. No sleep, no drink, nothing, no rest. So this is just a little, and we know from the Krishna book, this is one pastime after the other. And we had Govardhan Puja the other day, and what did Krishna do as a 7-year-old boy? He lifted a mountain on his little finger. We can't imagine. This is like, Krishna did it, actually, and he still does it. In another universe, he's doing it right now. So Krishna possesses all these opulences in full, and naturally, people get attracted to it. But we have to understand also that before, and we are explaining these pastimes on certain occasions to people who come from outside, but we also have to understand where they come from. They come from a completely conditioned background with very little or no purification, and so we have to give them the transcendental knowledge gradually. So they first of all have to understand Krishna's greatness in the Aishwarya mode. So we have to explain the philosophy of Krishna consciousness very basically. First of all, before explaining all these pastimes, the greatness of Krishna, we have to explain them the basic philosophy of Atma Tatma. You're not this material body. This is such a revelation. For people to understand they are not the body is like mind-blowing. They don't think in any way in those along those lines. I remember when I first read this, and it really struck me. I think it was in the Science of Self-Realization. We heard the story of, at that time, Michael Grant, Mukunda Maharaj. He went, and his first visit, first time he met Srila Prabhupada, he went up the stairs to that loft in the Bowery, and he sat down in the back, and then he listened to Srila Prabhupada explain Atma Tatma, and he heard that philosophy, you are not this material body. And when I read that in that book, and it kind of dawned on me, you're not the body, it was like, whew. I never thought in any way along those lines. So it was like a bombshell exploded. So it's amazing knowledge. You're not this material body. This is mind-blowing for people. So, and then we have to explain how you're not the body. And of course the Bhagavad Gita explains this very nicely. The hinus minyata, the etc. How the souls transmigrate already in this lifetime from the childhood body to an adult body to an old body, and natural, It's a conclusion that as we see, the soul is actually passing through in this lifetime through different stages of bodily development. Also, when the body is over, it can kind of conclude that it continues that process. Anyway, so that's how we have to give people this knowledge very carefully. And once they get this basic knowledge that you're not this material body and the other fundamental principles of Krishna consciousness, then we can start explaining to them the greatness of Krishna. And ultimately, we will give them the Siddhanta of the Gaudiya line. We can start explaining them about Radha and Krishna. But this is a very high level, and of course we ourselves also have to become realized in this knowledge. Of course we can explain it without being fully realized, that's what we do. But in order for it to really have a lot of potency, we ourselves have to realize it. There's Jnana and Vigyan, there's theoretical knowledge and there's realized knowledge. And once we realize this knowledge ourselves, the knowledge will penetrate deeply in those who listen. So that's what we're all endeavoring for, getting purified more and more by following the process of Krishna consciousness getting up early in the morning, every single morning, attending the morning program, being in the association of devotees, following the process, we get more and more purified, and thus we're more and more able to act as the servants of the pure devotee in spreading the bhakti cult all over the world. So thank you for your attention. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments?
Well, it isn't really, because we often see, actually always, that devotees come to one level and they are stagnate, like they are stopped at that point. It seems it cannot go any further, or at least it becomes very, very slow. So even though devotees are endeavoring, they hear the philosophy, and as you say, maybe even they attend the morning program every morning, chanting their rounds and studying Prabhupada's books, and still they come to a point where it's almost impossible to go forward.
Yeah. Everything comes through the chanting of the holy name. This is the Yuga Dharma, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Everything is based on that. And once one actually realizes the holy name, get the taste for the holy name, purification takes place very rapidly. But the problem is we do not have that taste. And why don't we have that taste? Because we maintain material attachments. I was thinking on this point actually this morning. The very point you're putting up here. And I know the answer in my personal case, and I think this is very common. We cling on to material attachments. This is the case in my personal. I was thinking in my material attachment, which I knowingly keep a grab on. And that's why I don't have that taste, because we heard the other day, the philosophy yesterday about, in the Prabhupada memories on Srila Prabhupada's Tirabhav yesterday, and we heard these wonderful disciples of Srila Prabhupada explain different pastimes to Prabhupada, and how incredible, how they got the mercy. We heard this Nanda Kumar Prabhu, he got the mercy, and Prabhupada gave it to him, and he kind of got a taste of the spiritual world. He said he actually experienced kind of like how it was serving Krishna, and he got enwrapped in this ecstasy. So I was thinking about this, they got all this incredible mercy and got this high taste. And we also have some taste of that. Like now and then we kind of get this taste, but it's not like kind of steady. So they got this amazing mercy, and they had this incredible taste for chanting the holy name. We heard about these kirtans, this Vaishnavi who spoke about it in Ohio, from Ohio there, how they, when Allen Ginsberg was present, and they were like in an ocean of ecstasy chanting the holy name. So I was thinking, why don't I have that taste every day, chanting in kirtan and in japa? And that's because I cling on to this whatever, my maya. I do it purposely, I can't give it up. And that's why I don't have the taste, and that's why I don't advance further, get stuck on a certain level. So it's up to us. We have to give up those attachments.
We really need to get this attraction, parangrisva, right? This higher taste where we're just spontaneously attracting to everything that really reminds us of Krishna. But our minds are just so polluted that it goes to these dirty things all the time. We are not really, like we mentioned many times in morning lectures also before, that it's like we hear the Bhagavatam lecture in the morning and it's ecstatic, right? It's very, very inspiring, and as you say, we read Krishna book in the evening, and then all of a sudden we go out and we do our daily service, and then Krishna just disappears and we just get involved in the material world again. So it's really making this constant endeavor to constantly be there. And it takes this endeavor that we do it knowingly, that we are aware that this is really what it takes.
It's a conscious endeavor. Every single moment we have that choice to choose Krishna or to choose the illusory energy. So, yeah.
Prabhupada writes in Purport to 5th Canto in the story with Bharat Maharaj, that also if you don't come to the morning program, if you don't study his books every day, chant attentive rounds, then you cannot make progress.
Yeah, it's a daily.
And we see Bharat Maharaj, he fell down with this, just seeing a deer, right? And even he was on such a high level of devotional service. Just like this short moment he sort of like lost his attraction towards Krishna, and that attraction was transferred to the material world, to Aditya in this case, and then this just dragged him down that lane, and at one point he was back long before where he started, as to endeavor to get that Krishna consciousness back.
Exactly. Just one moment he was inattentive, and then he got lured by Maya in form of a deer. That's true. One short instant.
That's often all it takes.
Yeah.
And then, like, for a long time, and then all of a sudden we find out, hey, where's my Krishna consciousness?
Just a little deviation, like you go on a track and you keep that, and suddenly you're far from, the process. That's true. Anything else? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.